So he blows up in the 70s, and it's like he didn't get his first number one album until like 2006.
Which is insane.
So he came out late 70s, and he was just still doing it.
Yeah, he was charting. He was definitely charting top 10, but no number ones.
Yeah. And he like all the way up until basically till he died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This latest album, I was listening to it on the way here, is amazing.
Yeah, that one number one.
Of course. Well, of course. But
you know what I'm saying? I think that's the impressive thing. We were talking about like how he was like strong arming labels more or less.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it's like you can have one record, and that doesn't really mean shit.
Yeah.
Like you could put out one. It's like, well, if the sophomore record is not good, no one's gonna remember you.
Yeah.
But he was just putting out bangers nonstop from the time that he came out.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason that he was able to have that leverage with the record labels. It's
Yeah.
like I'm clearly an artist that has staying power.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And here we are now after he's dead talking about him. So clearly that's true.
Yeah, one of the best to ever do it. I think when he was going solo, real solo, not just in the beginning with Mudcrutch, when he actually was like, okay, we've been on the road together for a long time. Let's start working with other people. That's when he said it. He was like, I feel prolific. Like, I feel like I can do other things. And I think that was one of the biggest and best decisions for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers as a band.
Right.
Because like with the other guys coming in and not being necessarily the band making the music, they were helping with engineering and sound and stuff like that for Tom's solo project. That got them more jobs.
Yes.
Like, you know, so it was like they were kind of sad about it while they were working on it with him though, because it wasn't like going to be a Heartbreakers tour. It was Tom Petty.
Well, the one that I was thinking about that is the Wildflowers album.
Yeah.
Because that was the first one that he did with
ELO. No,
Rick
George
Rubin.
Harrison and Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin, who, by the way, if your
and
career's
Jeff Lynne
in a
from
slump,
ELO.
If your career's in a slump and you want to just have a resurgence, just go get an album produced by Rick Rubin. Everybody knows.
Yes.
Go talk to Johnny Cash about that too.
He had some great things to say about Rick Rubin.
I mean, yeah, Rick Rubin's. I can't wait.
We were saying too about Rick Rubin. Sorry, check us out talking about Rick Rubin on our Def Jam podcast number 4. But what we were kind of saying about Rick and Russell and why they split up, because Rick was the music guy, and Russell wanted to wear 7 million hats. But
yeah, like $7 million hats.
Those two. But Tom was saying, I like working with Rick because he's not a corporate man. He's a fan. He's a music listener.
No, he's a music guy through and through. He lives in music.
Yeah. So yeah.
And I know obviously we just did a Def Jam episode, but I can't wait till we do a Rick Rubin solo one because we'll be able to briefly talk about so many great artists.
Very true.
But anyway, yeah. Okay, wait. So how many albums did he put out before the Traveling Wilburys happened? Like a few.
More than a few. More than a few. I want to say like 4 or 5. Yeah. Okay. It's up there. It's up there.
So we'll talk about them for a little bit because that's a ridiculously stacked group. Like I cannot believe that really happened.
Yeah.
So Traveling Wilburys. So it's obviously Tom Petty.
Yes.
One of the biggest, as we're saying, he's obviously one of the biggest guys at the time. Roy Orbison, who was one of the big early rockers, who was influence to all the other people in the band.
Yeah.
Jeff Lynne from ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, who was like a studio genius.
Check out our reactions to ELO.
Did I say Bob Dylan?
No, not yet.
Bob Dylan. He's all right. No, clearly he's a huge deal as well. And then George Harrison.
Yeah.
It's like this, and this is the thing, like not only is there the music of a Traveling Wilburys very good, but the most impressive thing about that band to me is the fact that you can have 5 people that are so huge in their own right, but their egos don't keep each other from making that amazing music.
Yeah.
I think that is the most impressive thing about it.
It says a lot about
if you get 5 super successful people in anything, not just music, anything, and you try to get them to like work together, it doesn't usually work.
This
like there's
could
too much ego.
not be Steven Tyler, Axl Rose, John Bon Jovi, and I don't know who else we can put in there. I'm just gonna throw Eddie Vedder in there. I'm just gonna throw
Rod Stewart.
And Talk about fist fight. Rod would throw the first punch, guaranteed.
Oh, Mick.
Mick.
Put Mick in there. Yeah, that shit is not going down. No. So that's what the most impressive thing about the Traveling Wilburys is to me. And obviously the music is great. Their music is really good.
Yes. I mean, I love Roy Orbison's voice. Roy Orbison and even so many other people that sing like that. So, and it's funny because those sounds are kind of the same. Like you said, that Roy influenced like a lot of the band and stuff like that. You can see that and you can feel and you can hear that as well. And not in a copycat way, which is cool.
No, it's kind of similar in the way that like Petty like meeting Elvis kind of like threw him into like a certain path. I feel like him like being around Roy kind of like probably put him in a similar mindset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, Roy's not Elvis. We're not comparing him. Yeah. But it's just like that same, like that 50s rocker, like the old school, like. And this is actually kind of going back to what we were saying about, like, it was his early music was kind of like Southern punk because originally, like the Ramones, like they were trying to. Their whole thing was that music was too bloated at the time, and they wanted to bring rock and roll back to like the simple like 50s kind of style. Yeah. So Tom Petty, it's like kind of a similar thing, really. He's kind of bringing it back. Like this is, in the 70s when progressive rock is happening and there's these huge, 20-minute songs or like a whole album side is one song or whatever. Right. And he's just like, no, we're pulling it back. We're doing 3 to 4 chords, 3-minute songs. That's what it's about. Yeah. So I'm sure for him to be able to be in a band with Roy Orbison was such a huge deal. I know. I mean, and it's funny how the torch gets like passed and stuff like that. You think about Elvis, someone who defined a lot in rock and roll style. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much passing the torch to Tom Petty, just not on purpose. Not on purpose. Yeah. And it's crazy because when Tom's album blew up that year, the year that we love in rock and roll, 1977, that's when Elvis died. Like, that's crazy. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like, it all kind of came together just now. That wasn't like a theory I was working on. But it's very interesting because I'm thinking about, there's so many rock and rollers that have made defining sounds in rock and roll history internationally. But, Tom and Elvis definitely have their own styles and they're very American, like, and it's like very defining sounds. And it's interesting how one goes and then one is starting to rise, You cut off one head and another rises in its place.
That is a really interesting point as well. I didn't really think about that. But wow, I just have so many things to say. I'm trying to like get my brain like in like one lane.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, okay, so obviously Petty is just crazy good, and I didn't even realize what stuff was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and what stuff was Tom Petty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I was going through Spotify, I was like, oh shit, this was solo? I thought this was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I was way too young to even like pay attention to stuff like that and to think about it because I felt the same way with Van Halen. I was like, so who's David Lee Roth and who's Van Halen? Like I was confused.
Who's Sammy Hagar?
Right? So he hadn't even come around yet. It was like Van Halen and then it was like David Lee, and I both saw them all the time and they were both rocking MTV at the same time, so I was like, who's who here? Like, but yeah, so right. Yeah, I totally understand that. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Tom Petty, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah. True.
Diana Ross and the Supremes. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, where's the Supremes? Why are you by yourself? Yeah. Okay, so wow. That's so cool. And like it's like like we say, like his sound really just sounds like America to me. Like I didn't like Mary Jane's Last Dance, like that came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
I thought that was from the 70s. Like it just all just sounds so American.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't even sound like eras to me. It's just all Tom Petty.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.